All right, we are live Monday, October 25th. I am Adam Martin. He is Mr. Big Marcel Dorff, and this is the MMAOB Daily Podcast. How's it going, Marcel? How's everything with you, man?
Everything is good, man. Happy to be back. What else can I say, man? Always good to talk some MMA with you. Some great, good card last week. Good cards, I have to say, and some fun ones coming up this week, midweek. Lots of fun to talk about. We're going to talk probably about that tomorrow, what's coming up, but we have a lot to recap. So, look forward.
We got a lot to talk about. I mean, this today and tomorrow are going to be busy podcasts. I'll just say that right now. So today we'll recap UFC, Bellator, Contender Series from last week, and then tomorrow. And we'll do that 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I think, Marcel, you're good for the regular time, right? For tomorrow? You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So tomorrow's 4 p.m. Eastern again. We'll preview UFC 267. And also we'll talk about Contender Series. And we will talk about PFL, which I put a tweet out this morning, Marcel, when I woke up, because I'm like, PFL's on Wednesday? No one's talking about it, right? So I tweeted it out. I think I surprised a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people knew it was this Wednesday. It's like the promotion is just non-existent, basically, Marcel. It's creeping up on us. Anyways, I'm looking forward to that card. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
I personally think that it would have been great if they did that, for example, November 27. No UFC event then. Would be on a Saturday, would be perfect. And now it's a midweek. Listen, I have today. I took the day off the day after, so I can watch. But I think many people can't watch here in Europe because the main card pretty much starts at, I think, 2 a.m. over here. So it's
I was surprised. I was writing the article up for the opening odds. I was surprised when I wrote it was Wednesday. That's why I tweeted it today. I'm like, damn, this thing's in 2 days. The weigh-ins are tomorrow. You know what I mean, Marcel? It's coming up here. 6 guys are getting to make $1 million. Everyone talks about fighter pay so shit in MMA. Now we got $1 million paychecks coming. No one's talking about it. So it's just kind of weird how everyone's always complaining about the fighter pay. Then we have, a promotion that's actually paying guys, but they're doing a terrible job of promoting that too. So it goes both ways, Marcel. I just think PFL is a good promotion with it's a good promotion, but that has bad promotion, if that makes any sense. I think they are a very good MMA promotion, but they don't really promote their product very well. Because I think they are a good promotion. Anyways, let's talk about UFC Vegas. Let's go through that card, guys. We'll recap it, and we'll get your thoughts on that. And Marcel, we'll start with the main event here. I want to give a shout out to my boy, Kevin Scott from the podcast, good friend of the podcast here, Marcel. He sent me a message. I think it was I can't remember what fight it was after. I think the Dwight Grant fight with Trinaldo where the point was taken. And he sent me a message saying, he's like, I'm going to put $5 on this bet that Jason Herzog's going to take a point in the main event. Of course he did. So my boy Kevin, who's maybe in the chat today, I don't know, he won I can't remember, it was plus 2,500 odds on $5. So
nice. Damn
good. You know what I mean? They don't have those kind of props at the books that I have. There's Kevin. Here he is. Hey, Kevin. Jason Herzog for the win. But it's something to consider in the future. You know what I mean? Especially with the refs taking more points now. They're more refs they don't want as much bullshit anymore as far as warnings go. They're just we're taking points now. I think Chris Tarnioni took one quickly and Jason Herzog did. So let's talk about the fight. We all know what happened, guys. Obviously, it took place at 205, not 185. Costa was not going to make weight. So the original news was it was 20% of the fine. 30% was the actual fine, Marcel, which makes more sense to me, actually. I thought 30%. It still should be more, quite frankly. It probably should have been 50%, let's be honest here. But, 30% is something. And Marvin didn't have to cut the weight himself, too. So he ends up winning the fight. He gets a $50,000 bonus performance of the night. This was easily the fight of the night, but stupid Costa missed weight, so you can't win a bonus when that happens. Easily fight of the night. It was an amazing fight. One of the better fights of the year, I think. I thought this was a really good fight. Both guys were just super durable. And I do think it's worth talking about, Marcel, just the fact that they went up a weight class and were able to absorb so much damage. Because I think that, I don't think it's not even that I think, it's just proven that, the more weight you cut, the less durable your chin is, because you're draining water from your brain and stuff too. So I do think that there's something to be said about that. Overall, I thought it was a great fight. I definitely thought that Vettori won the fight, which he did on the judges' scorecards, 48-46 with the point deduction, and Costa won, I think, round 2 and 5, I want to say. It was a great fight. Vettori, though, to me, this guy he's a great fighter, man. And again, Marcel, I wrote this. He's fought 100 minutes in the octagon in the last year. That is so fucking crazy. I'm wondering if anyone else has ever did that. I really don't know if anyone else has, Marcel. What fighter do you think of that's fought 4 5-minute, 5-round fights in the span of 1 year? I can't think of anyone, to be honest with you. Not even a champion. So what Marvin's doing, guys, is pretty amazing. I mean, the guy's a really good fighter. I think he's really starting to get some respect now, obviously, from the fans. He was a decent-sized favorite at the end at close after all the weight mishaps. He looked great. I don't know where this puts him at if it changes his position at 185. I guess he would take Costa's spot, but it was a 205-pound fight. So, anyways, I thought the guy looked amazing, and I'm curious to see what's next for both these guys. I want to hear your thoughts on the fight, man. You're mute on. You're mute.
Oh God! I mean, this is the second time in a row. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think it was a great fight. It was a fight of the night. I think there would be more contenders for fight of the night on that card. There was some really good fights on there, but I mean, I'm honestly, as a neutral, I'm neutral in this fight. I'm happy Vettori won because I think he dealt with a lot during fight week, and I mean. He won that fight, and Costa even trying to say, like, I won the fight. Let's shut the fuck up, dude. You already did enough, So, but I kind of give him, he did look good in that fight. He didn't look bad at all, I think some people were like, and I had something as well, like maybe Costa wants to leave the UFC or whatever, but he didn't fought like that. He fought like he wanted to win the fight. So, I mean, it was a good fight and a deserved win for Vettori. I also had the 48-46, exactly the same round 2 and round 5 for Costa.
Yeah.
And the point deduction make it 48-46, and even without the point deduction, Vettori would have won. So,
yep. Now,
what was the thing with the DC?
I gotta ask your thoughts on this because Cormier comes out now. He says that the reason Herzog took a point is because he's biased towards Costa due to those weight miss and just being a dick all week. I don't agree with that at all. And actually, I think it's a little dangerous that he said that. To be honest with you, like this is a UFC commentator coming out saying that. Remember the last time this happened with Dan Hardy and he was freaking out at Herb Dean? Dana White scolded him, and eventually they fired him. I don't know if they'll fire DC. Obviously, I don't think they're going to, but I would imagine the UFC will have a conversation with them. Like they don't like when the analysts criticize the refs. I don't know if you've noticed that, Marcel. They don't like when they do this. So he's basically accusing the guy of taking a point and being biased towards a certain fighter. That's not really something you could just go and say. So I don't agree with that. Herzog's one of the best guys in the business. Tristan says he loves Marvin's cardio too. Me too.
It's a super unprofessional thing to say about DC because man, DC is known for his bad takes lately, man. I told you this 2 years ago. I'd rather see DC fighting than DC talking, So,
yeah, the guys. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about DC. I mean, I think he was one of the best fighters of all time. I think I met him in person. He was a great guy. I can see why everyone likes him. He's a very, very nice guy. But I don't necessarily love his commentary during the fights, man. His analysis. Like, just being completely honest with you. I'm not saying he's bad, but I do think I think Bisping's better, and I think the Felder's better. That's the honest truth.
Man. I mean, you can be a nice person, but suck at what you do,
I don't think he sucks at it or so, but I don't think he takes his job seriously. I don't think he takes his job as seriously as he should. That's what I
just mean in general. You can be a nice person, but still be bad at what you do. I don't say he's bad, but I agree. Give an example.
Hey, John, what's up, man? He says a bad take from DC. Herzog unfortunately the rules other refs choose not to.
Yeah.
So I agree completely with that. Great point, John. I agree. Kevin Scott, was there any Herzog DC issues in his fights? I don't know if I could even.
Herzog after ref.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know how I'd find that out quickly because MMA decisions is just the judges, right? I'm not sure how you'd find the ref. You'd have to go to Tapology. Let's go to Tapology and take a look. Let's try to see if there was a fight because maybe he's picked off about something. I'm just surprised he said it though. Gotta be honest with you. Which fight, Marcel? Which one was
it? Just Tapology. Go to DC and then show details. Then you can see everything.
All right, let's look for the fight, guys. Let's do this here. By the way, I want to pull this up quickly. Because I want to give this guy some respect because he deserves it. Let's pull this up here while I look for that. Here it is. Let's take a look at his record. This is Marvin Vettori's UFC record. Give me your thoughts on this record, Marcel. It's 11-3-1. It's good.
It's great, man. He only lost twice to Israel Adesanya, won a split decision, and to Antonio Carlos Jr. back when Marvin was still in his younger days in the UFC, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and Antonio Carlos Jr. was actually decent at that moment in the UFC. So, I mean, he got 3 losses, which aren't bad, and he got some good wins, man. Paulo Costa, Jack Hermanson. I think Cesar Ferreira back then was a good win, Kevin Holland. So, he got some good wins. I think he debuted against Alberto Uda, right? So, yeah, he got some good wins, man.
Okay, so I'm looking at DC's, the referees for his fights, guys. So far, I haven't come up with Jason Herzog. I've come up with like at least 10 Herb Deans, who's ref almost every one of his fights. You talk about a ref with some bias. I don't see Jason yet, but I'm going to go down because maybe early in his career in like Strikeforce when he did California, maybe. Greg Franklin ref one of his fights, Rich Franklin's brother. I can't find anything. Marcel didn't find anything. I don't see anything. So No idea where that came from, guys, but it's kind of weird. All right, let me get these questions. Question for his from Marcus. Hey, Marcus, what's up, man? He said, question for Adam Marcel. Just logged in. If Costa did not get deducted at one point, would have made a decision on your scorecard. Oh, we just talked about that, Marcus. We still thought he won the fight 3-2, plus the deduction. So, you see the difference. I don't think you can give Costa 3 rounds on a fight to make it a draw. I don't think you can. I think the most you can give him is 2 rounds, which I think is fine. 2 and 5. Okay. Matthew Neville, great show as always, guys. Keep up great work. Hey, man, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Kevin Scott, I guess DC issues might be related to any of his teammates. Yeah, that's true, too. I'm wondering if he did that fight with Bulgoyovanov and was it Sakai when he freaked out? Remember that fence grab and DC jumped off the desk. It was like, hey, you gotta take a point from the guy. It's like, dude, it's like you're the analyst. Like, again, guys, Dana White doesn't like when the analysts interfere with the fights. You saw what happened with Dan Hardy. You got fired. That's
what's going to happen when you have guys who are teammates or whatever from the guy is fighting and they see something which is not good, Yeah. And some guys like a Paul Felder can really keep himself from doing that. Sometimes it's like, I'm not even going to commentate right here. And I'd rather have that, people say that's not professional, but I'd rather have that somebody saying I'm not going to commentate because I know I'm going to be biased, than somebody who's going to sit there and be super listen, Dominic Cruz is always super biased for his Alliance MMA teammates, man. Also, when he commented Angela Hill, Jessica Penne, he also the same thing, always very biased, and you have to really hear through that to not get into it, sometimes when I know a fighter is fighting and it's from the same team who is commentating, I'm pretty much mute the commentating because I just don't want to get sucked into their biasness or whatever you say it. So,
yeah, no, I agree with that. All right. Anything else in the main event? Oh, let's get this last comment. Actually, it's about the next fight. We'll talk about that fight in a second. CM Mock was saying Dawson was originally booked to fight a ranked guy. The result of the fight cost him ranked guy next. Was he supposed to fight? Who's it? Ferreira, right? Diego Ferreira. Yeah. Well, that's a really good question. We're going to talk about the fight. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about with Vettori? Or should we just move on? Because I think.
No, let's move on.
Let's move on because we have a lot of fights to talk about. Okay, so this fight, there's a lot to talk about this fight. So I mean, it was a good fight too. Grant Dawson looked really good those first 2 rounds, and then gassed out really hard in that last round. It actually reminded me of Andrew Sanchez last week with Bruno Silva, except he didn't get finished. But if that fight, if there was another round, he probably would have been finished in that 4th round. I'll be honest with you, Marcel. I was disappointed by the performance. I got to be honest with you. I didn't think he gassed out that bad, and he almost got finished by Ricky Glenn as a huge favorite. He was the biggest favorite of the card, so bit disappointing. I still think Grant Dawson's a good fighter, but guys, like, James Krause is a good coach and everything, but I still feel like sometimes everyone just blindly is like, oh, James Krause's guys are going to win. Like they went 1-1-1 on this card. They didn't go 3-0. They went 1-1-1. So just because the guy's coached by Krause doesn't mean it's an automatic win. I'll just say that right now. He's still a good coach, don't get me wrong, but it's not an auto win like some people think it is. And this was an example. Like Ricky Glenn's a very underrated guy, and Marcel made it a very close fight. I think that the problem with me with the scorecard is I think you could have given 10-8 to Dawson in the 1st or 2nd round, and then you give it to Glenn because he pointed at him and was like, hey, he can't get up. He can't get up. He's out. Like he's screwing at him at the end. It was smart on Ricky Glenn's part. I've never really seen a guy do that, pull out the body language and tell the judges about it. I've never seen that. It was smart. I think it might have got him a 10-8 round. I don't have a problem with a 10-8 round there, guys. I'll be honest, but it's just that I thought Dawson could have got 10-8 in like the 1st or 2nd. So that's the only issue I have with it. I'm fine with the scorecard as far as who he gets next. I'd imagine, CM Hawk, that he'd probably get a step back in competition, quite frankly. I don't think he'll get a top 15 guy after this, Marcel, because he didn't win the fight. Marcel? Give me your thoughts. What do you think?
I fully agree with you that Dawson could have got a 10-8 round as well in round 1 or 2. So it's like I don't think some people say he was out. Dawson, I don't think he was out at all. I think he was just almost out and very, very tired. That's what I think. So why not run it back? Why not listen, man, Ricky Glenn took the fight on short notice. Dawson actually, he was training for Ferreira, but he also got another opponent in Glenn, which is a much more different fight than Carlos Diego Ferreira, in my opinion. Do it again, let them fight again. Why not? Wasn't a bad fight at all, in my opinion. And just do another 3-rounder and give them a full preparation, full camp, and let's see who's the better.
You definitely could. Kristen says, do you guys think Dawson should have lost similar to Vasilij Simon? Looked like he was half out. No. He definitely wasn't out, in my opinion. I don't think he was out, The
Vasilij was also not out, in my opinion. So,
and it's a fucked up fight because they called the TKO. He
was out 50 seconds before
when he slammed his head on the ground, right? Yes.
But they didn't call it at that moment, you know?
I know. That was a weird thing. I'm glad they didn't call it a TKO. I'm going to say that right now. I don't think that would have been the correct call. But I do think just because he pointed out, hey, this guy can't even stand up, that probably got him the extra point deduction on the scorecard. It was very
really
smart.
bad if that's the case. But
I agree, Marcel, but these judges, they're really bad usually. That's so they're usually really bad. I mean, it's not surprising. All right, next fight. I mean, the judging wasn't very difficult for this fight. Let's be honest. Yeah. This fight was a snore, though. And I know you're a big fan of Jessica Clark, and I bet on her in this fight, and I was glad to win my bet, but it was an awful fight to watch. She threw no ground and pound at all, Marcel. It was awful. Like, why not throw any ground and pound? Why just control? Why lay and pray? It was lay and pray. Let's be honest. It was.
I'm a fan of her, how she interacts with fans, her persona, her interviews are very fun. Fights, sometimes not. And this was a really safe fight she fought here, man. You know, she just held it on for 3 rounds, ran at 30-27. And, you know, sometimes if you don't see another way to win, maybe that's a way to win, you know, and you got the W, but it wasn't very entertaining. And she said it herself as well later on Instagram and Twitter.
She apologized.
I mean, she don't have to apologize, but I mean, it wasn't really entertaining, and that's true. And I mean, it happens.
I don't think she has to apologize. I'm kind of glad she did, though, because I'm glad that she was aware that the fight sucked. She wasn't unaware. You know what I mean? Johnny Walker came out. He spoke to Glenn Cruz. He's bashing the fans of the fight, saying, you know, if you criticize my fight, you're probably sitting on the ground or on your couch drinking beer during my fight. That fight sucked. The fight with Johnny Walker and Thiago Santos sucked. I wasn't even drunk and it sucked. I wish I was drunk because it probably would have been a little bit more entertaining. I was completely sober during that fight. That fight stunk, Marcel. But those guys aren't even aware how bad the fight was. Like, since that fight, both those guys have come on social media and like basically said, hey, the fans are wrong and people who said this don't understand fighting and don't respect fighting. We just want to see people go, like, try to actually fight. You know what I mean, Marcel? Like, the UFC pays these fighters to fight. They don't pay them to spar. That's the thing. Like, and sometimes these fights or sparring sessions are just grappling. This looked like a beginner BJJ class. I got to be honest with you. It looked like a first day class of BJ.
I said to a fighter, like, it kind of looked like a sparring session, and that fighter was actually upset when I said that. He's like, my sparrings are even harder than that fight.
So dude, it's not even, it's true. It literally is true. In that fight, again, I still think there was too much respect between those guys. Let me get this. Tim Hawk, is Gamrot fighting Ferreira next? Have you heard about that? I mean, I'd love to see that.
I'm wondering who Gamrot is.
I'm a huge Gamrot fan. We both love him on this podcast, let's be honest. And I know CM Hawk likes him too. Why was Jess fighting the main card? Because Jess is a good-looking girl and popular. That's why. But the fight was shit. I mean, it was super boring, let's be honest. Thought it was a technical submission. They called it a TKO, bro, which is super weird. It's right, Marcel. I think it was TKO.
Maybe they did. They overturned it.
I gotta check it. Let me check UFC stats.
But they called it a TKO at the spot. Yeah.
Let me check it right now. Yeah, it's a TKO. Look at this. TKO from technical submission. It doesn't even make sense. Literally makes no sense.
This is also stupid because this will be forever the latest stoppage in the third round in the UFC because it's called it at round 3, 5-0.
Which I didn't even think once the fight was over they could do that. But again, you can't be saved by the bell apparently in the third round. So either way, you're right if they didn't tap. All right. The cry never give yellow cards to fighters on top. I'm pretty sure they did. I can remember that happening, right, Marcel? Like Lane Prayers and Pride, they hated it. I'd have to go back and watch the fights.
An activity, I think.
Yeah, they would give it an activity. Here's a yellow card.
Both.
I loved it. Hey, you got to get started fighting. I loved it, man. Take away 10% of their purse. That's the problem. You're taking away their money. Which
I mean, they better don't do that in the UFC because Dana would encourage to give yellow cards all the damn time, man. You know.
Let me get this comment. Adolf says, "Did you watch KSW? If yes, what do you think about Bantamweight champ?" And another officer importance, how far can you go in UFC? Didn't get a chance to watch. I love Marcel's take. We'll go back to UFC, but give me your thought on KSW. I didn't see it.
Yeah, he's good. I still don't know how to really announce his name, Prisbis or something. But guy is good, man. He looked good against Santos was the guy. And he looked good. He's a guy I really have my eyes on. But same for Soldich against Khalidov next or in 2 months. And Parnas against... what's his name? The guy who defeated him, I forgot his name, but he did a great job in the first fight, and there's a rematch. So I'm really looking forward to those two.
I'm just looking at the card right now. So Sebastian Prisbis, like I don't know if I pronounced it, 9-2, and I mean the guy looks like a decent fighter, right? Like he's the champ, right, in this promotion, right? Yeah, bantamweight champ. So Bruno Santos, that's not the UFC guy though. That's like another Bruno Santos. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it, man. There's so much fights going on the weekend. I didn't get a chance, but I did see the knockout in the main event, obviously, with Puds knocking out Bombardier. That was awesome. According to Markomanov's manager, his next fight's against another welterweight that started with 2 finished wins. I guess it's Carlton Harris. Hey, that's a great fight if that's the case. I'd love to see that fight. I do feel like both those guys are kind of, they should be on different paths, but Carlston's at 34, I want to say, so they're not going to give me fights. He's 34. All right, let's go back to – pardon?
That's the name, Daniel Torres.
Daniel Torres.
Okay.
There we go. All right, let's go back to the UFC card here. Alex Casares with the upset over Sung Woo Cho. Yeah, I mean, listen, like Choi won that first round. He dropped him, and then he was an idiot, and he kneed him on the ground. It was really stupid. And was there a point? Yeah, there was a point deduction, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with the point deduction, by the way.
I kind of disagree with this one, and I'll tell you
why. He kneed him on the head on the ground, Marcel.
Yeah, I had the feeling, and I say the feeling that he wanted to hit him in the chest. That is what my feeling was, and that he didn't want to knee him in the head. But yeah, okay, he took the risk.
Yeah,
and we might get the point for it. But I was like, But I was just happy that Casares didn't pull Aljo, and that he continued. So
that's true. Yeah, that was awesome that he kept fighting through it. So let's talk about how the fight played out. I mean, Choi was winning, dropped him, and I don't really want to say he gassed. Really, it's just that Casares kind of got his back in a weird spot, took his back, and tapped him out. It was really impressive, actually. This guy is a guy, Alex Casares, that I just can't get his fights right. He's just such a trick. I can't pick his fights right. Like, he's just such a weird fighter to predict his fights. And, this fight was a fight he was losing. He comes back and submits a guy in Choi who's on the rise. That's impressive. And, Marcel, I think it probably gets him a top 15 opponent, if I had to guess. He's 33 years old. He's on a 5-fight win streak. I'd imagine he gets a top 15 guy.
It's possible, man. Why not? I mean, he kind of deserves it right now. So
see him hunk wants this fight. Melsick and Casares. Melsick is at they're both at 145. Laramie's out. Laramie's sick.
Yeah.
He has an infection or something.
I'm a rosé.
They could do that fight, but I don't know if they'll do it. I mean, Casares, I feel like, is going to get a rank guy. That's my. Also, he took damage in this fight. That's the other thing. He didn't get away scot-free. He took damage in the fight. He got knocked down. He got beat in the head. He's probably going to take a few months off, I had to guess. All right, let's go to this fight. I want to hear your thoughts on this one, because this one, honestly, this sucked for me because I bet on Grant as an underdog, and I'm not saying he won the fight because I don't think he did, but I thought it was a draw. I definitely thought he won at least one of the first 2 rounds. It's just a weird scorecards. One of the judges gave him the first 2 rounds, gave him basically a clean sweep. The other judges thought Francisco Tirolo won all 3 rounds, minus the point deduction. He still won the fight. Split decision, Marcel. Very bizarre one, but I thought it was a draw. I thought Grant won the second round. I thought first round Tirolo, second round Grant 10-8 or 9-9 in the third round with the point deduction. What did you think?
Got to be that honest here. I only saw the third round because
it wasn't a good fight. You didn't miss much on this one. I mean, you didn't miss much. It's just I thought Grant, he dropped Ronaldo at one point in the second round, and I think that was enough to steal it. But
the GOAT was fighting, man. I had to switch.
No, sorry. We'll talk about Bellator in a few minutes. I remember that. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's go through the rest of the card. Nikolai Negumereanu defeats Ike Villanueva. I mean, no surprise there. You think they cut Ike Marcel 1-4 with 4 knockout losses? I think that's it for this guy.
I think they should have been to the instant replay and watch what happened. Actually,
that's with the back of the headshots.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is so many times this happened, and now you got fucking instant replay. Use it.
I saw your tweet. You were upset.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I was upset because listen. If they use it and they say still it's okay. I have no problem with it. But you have a fighter there who clearly says I got hit on the back of the head, and it was not one time; it was multiple times. Go watch it, get a decision, and come back. You could do it with Holland against Dawkins. You can do it right there.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm just so angry about that situation because it's so inconsistent. That's why I was so pissed a few weeks ago when we talked about that. I remember how upset I was. I really was, just because again you see this and. Why not go to replay in this? Because it should look like it was back of the head to me, but it is what it is. All right, let's get the comments. I think UFC will keep feeding Alex on rate, guys. They might. They don't seem to really appreciate it that much. I just think when you get 5 wins, you submit Choi, and you get the bonus, that shows that they probably at least finally appreciate it a little bit more. Adolf says Prismus definitely defeats DeSantos was great BJJ via inverted triangle choke. I'd like to see him in the UFC. That'd be interesting. Thoughts on Fedor's Dana White's Fedor? Couple of DC's comments about Fedor. Again, DC's comments about Fedor were stupid too, and he was saying like Fedor wasn't that good. Basically, like, come on, that's sort. It's always easy to say guys aren't that good when the careers are over. Also, Fedor started a lot younger. He fought for a lot longer. Like DC's not as old as Fedor is, and Fedor's still fighting. DC's been retired for a year, right? So I like DC, but he's got such a big mouth sometimes, doesn't he? Like this freaking guy, man. Like they didn't even fight, and honestly. I don't know if Fedor would or DC would have won that fight if they fought 10 years ago. Who knows? Because as good as DC was, he was still super green in MMA, guys. Like just because he knocked out Bigfoot and went and had the fight with Barnett doesn't mean he would have beat Fedor at that point. So it is what it is. All right, let's go to the prelims. Fight of the night: Marcel Gregory Rodriguez defeats Jungyeon Park via second round TKO. Amazing. Sorry, it was a KO actually with the uppercut. Amazing fight, great fight, and your boy Barack Obama, aka RoboCop, aka Gregory Rodriguez, gets the win here. It was an awesome fight. I really enjoyed this one, and Rodriguez is quite good, man. I got to be honest. I think this guy's very good, but he does seem to have a bit of a chin issue from what I've seen. Keeps his chin in the air, and I think a good striker will clip him. But a guy like Parker doesn't have power. That's a good matchup for him, obviously, and he gets the win. So, your thoughts on this fight?
I mean, a former president should walk with the chin in the air, you know. Robo Obama, yeah. I mean, he looked good, you know, and also I think Park looked good as well. You know, it was a fun fight.
It was a competitive fight. Yeah,
man, the Iron Turtle. I mean, that's pretty fitting, you know. The dude is almost not. He got an iron chin. He got out. I mean, everybody would have been gone after those punches from Rodriguez. They were very hard. For me, I wouldn't. They picked this as fight of the night. My fight of the night was before that one. I would have given Rodriguez the performance.
Yeah. He was definitely getting a bonus. I'll say that. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I think what it comes down to is either you give Vettori plus to the fight of the night, and you just give $100 grand to Vettori, or you give $50K to Park. That's kind of what it came down to.
They could have given an extra bonus. I mean, they kept the bonus in their pocket with the co-main event, right? So
that's true. I agree with that completely. They didn't have to pay Grant Dawson or Ricky Glenn their win bonus. And that's the thing. That's what I hate about draws. Like the UFC just keeps their money. They love it. They're like, okay, we had the fight. The fight went on. You know, we get to keep the win bonus.
Yeah.
Now you talk about fight of the nights. I mean, this could have been fight of the night too. Mason Jones defeats David Onama via unanimous decision. Let's follow this fight, guys. This fight was fucking awesome to watch. Great fight. Now I got some thoughts on this fight. I really like Mason Jones, but the guy takes so much damage that I am worried about this guy going forward. Marcel, I'm very worried about him. He fights a really good striker, like that can defend the takedowns. Like he fights Dan Hooker. That's such a hard fight for him. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Like he won't get him like Dan's top 10. I'm just saying like that's the kind of guy that would give him a problem. Because Onama is giving him problems, and Onama's a featherweight, right? Here's my I was gonna say, Marcel, just quickly. I'm almost more impressed by Onama, even though he lost, because I think this guy has the brighter future in the sport. Even though Mason did enough to win, he obviously won the fight. Give me your thoughts on this one, man.
Jones mixed in the takedowns, and that won him the fight.
Yes.
That won him the fight because that was a close fight, man. Definitely from the stand-up game. I mean, Onama looked good, man. It's on 4 days' notice. He fought like 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks ago, and then he fought at 145. Now at 150. Dude's going to be a problem at 145, what I saw, man. He looked very good. And Mason Jones, I mean, it's a risk, you know. Got to be honest, it's a risk to take an undefeated guy on 4 days' notice. You don't know too much about him, but you want to fight. I understand that, but still, man. I mean, Jones, he did what he had to do. He won the fight, but Onama was pretty impressive, man, for a guy 4 days' notice. First Ugandan fighter in the UFC. I put Ugandese on MMA DNA, and people got crazy. It's like, guys, I'm from the Netherlands. Sometimes we say Ugandese here, and that's why I put Ugandese. My apologies.
What is it, Ugandan?
Ugandan, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a very fun fight. For me, it was the fight of the night, but, I mean, it was great. I hope they got both a little bit extra from the UFC because they deserved it.
Yeah, especially Onama taking the fight on short notice. But also Jones, too, because like you said, this is a good point you made up. He also took the fight on short notice, right? Because he was supposed to fight Alan Patrick. This is a harder fight, quite frankly. It really was a harder fight. Remember we talked about the odds earlier this week? I was like, I think their odds are going to be lower. They actually came out higher. They were minus 700. And people obviously started betting on Onama, who actually ended up being kind of the value side, but he lost a close decision. All right, let's go to the next fight here. Our girl Tabitha Ricci. Quickly, we'll talk about this one. It wasn't the most entertaining fight, but you know she got the job done against Maria Oliveira. I don't even know why Maria Oliveira's in the UFC. I'll be honest with you, Marcel. She just looked like she didn't even really belong in there. I'll be honest with you. But Ricci looked pretty good. Just quick thoughts on this one.
Listen, man, I think Ricci is just her grappling is much better than Oliveira. She could take her down. Oliveira couldn't stand up. Striking wise, I think Oliveira wasn't that bad, you know, but she was really hesitant with letting something go. She was really hesitant for the takedown, obviously. Yeah. And those takedowns, when she got her down, she barely could stand up or couldn't stand up. So it was a clear win for Tabitha Ricci. And I mean, Tabitha Ricci needed that. She had that debut at flyweight against Manon Fiorot. Yeah. And now a good win at 115, you know. So for her, it's a very important win. Yeah. And for Maria Oliveira, I'm curious who they give her next.
Someone at the bottom of the division, like Anthony, maybe something like that. CM Hawk, Mason Jones versus Jai Herbert next. You could do that fight. It'd be a good one. Ricci dive for dude, I loved it. I fucking loved it. I was like, holy shit, she did it for the Imanari. Like, I was hoping she'd get the submission. I really wanted because for my DraftKings teams, she still did really well though. She got like 100 points. John said they should add a women's and weight. I honestly I was thinking the same thing. Tristan likes Ricci. Who doesn't? Come on, let's be honest. John, I was thinking the same thing though about atom weight, like because I think Ricci is a little small for this division, even though she's strong. And I just wonder, like, as the sport grows, you'd have to imagine that more women will get into it, and a lot of women are smaller. So I could see it being added in the future. And I know you want it added for like the last maybe 2 years. You probably.
I mean, why the hell would you have featherweight when you can have atom weight? You know what I mean?
You can have both. You could have. And I do think there are more women's featherweights now coming in the sport. I'll say that, Marcel. There's more. There's more of them. It's better to have the division than to make these girls cuddle that weight. Like Aspen can't make 135. I'd rather just have the division at 140.
She's gonna go back to bantamweight.
Norma Dumont cannot make that weight. You know what I mean? So it's good to have the weight class.
That's going to go back to 135. She doesn't want to fight at 145.
Yeah, well, because she can't bully them and cheat in the scale. All right, let's talk about really quick. This fight was pretty bad. Jamie Pickett defeats Laureano Staropoli. I got to be honest, Marcel. At the very end of the week, I started feeling. Pardon?
Last 15 seconds were fun. That's
what last 15 seconds, but I had a feeling during the week, like at the end of the week, I was like, man, I think Pickett might win this fight. Like he was such a big underdog. Everyone's kind of overlooking him here. He gets the job done. It was a terrible fight, but Laureano Staropoli had no business being such a big favorite. This guy, he's not very good, Marcel. 2-4, no power whatsoever. He doesn't like to throw strikes. He's not very strong. He's not very fast. Tell me what's so good. Tell me what's good about Laureano Staropoli. What's good about this guy? Tell me.
I don't really know, man. Plus, this
boring.
I mean, this fight. Come on, man. I mean, I was watching it, and I was kind of happy that I could close my eyes for a little bit of 10 minutes, kind of. It was really nothing really happened. You know what I mean? There was no advancing, nothing. I mean, Pickett pretty much won the fight by being better the last 20 seconds, and I think I had a 1-1 going into the third.
That's what I had too.
Yeah. So, and the third round, really not great. I had Pickett slightly, and then the last 15 seconds sealed the deal for him, but it wasn't great at all.
Yeah, it was a garbage fight. All right, the next one was really fast. Kama Worthy gets KO'd again. Not my best pick here, obviously. I knew that was a very good chance he'd get knocked out if he didn't get the knockout, and that's exactly what happened. I really like Kama, but the chin is it's really bad. And it's pretty much just non-existent at this point. And I think he'll probably get released from the UFC, Marcel, because he just can't be in a fight now because the first punch that lands pretty much knocks this guy out, which is really tough when he's a talented guy himself, but, just can't stand and bang, whereas Herbert is a little bit more durable, and that was the difference here, really. Gets the win in the first round. I'll say this. Some people thought he should have got a bonus. I would say at this point, the UFC kind of knows that knocking out Kama Worthy is not the hardest thing to do. So I think they've stopped giving the bonus out for doing that, Marcel. I'll say that because they gave one to Ottoman. They didn't give one to Malarkey, and they didn't give one out to Herbert. But yeah, Herbert looked good, gets his first win. Any thoughts on the fight? Do you think Worthy gets cut too? I think probably gets cut.
Possible, man. But finally, the Black Country banger came through, man, in this third UFC fight. And I'm happy for him. He's a talented guy. Didn't show it yet in the UFC. Finally did it. And it was good for him. And let's see where it goes from now because he really needed this win, obviously.
Next fight, Jeff Molina knocks out Daniel De Silva in the second round. Great performance by Jeff once again. This guy's very good. 2-0 now in the UFC, Marcel. In a division where they're always looking for new prospects and contenders, and Jeff Molina stands out at age 24. He's a guy that's going to be in the UFC for a long time, I believe, and he's a very good fighter. That first round was sketchy with that. I think it was an armbar, I want to say. That was close, man. That was very, very tight. I think it was an armbar from De Silva, but Molina got out, smashed him, and then finished him. So thoughts on Jeff Molina? I like this kid, man.
How do I say this in a nice way? How the fuck does he doesn't get an bonus, man? This guy.
Yeah, he should.
I mean, this was an amazing fight. I mean, also, I still say Lacerda because I'm used to say Daniel Lacerda, but it's Daniel De Silva. I think he fought pretty well. He was a very tough guy. We both say probably not going to distance this one. So I mean, it didn't go to distance. He could win for Molina, man. Guy is really talented. Also a guy from Glory MMA and Fitness. Looked good. Looked good in the Contender Series when he fought, I think, Jacob Silva. He looked amazing against Aoriki Language, who was the fight of the night, and now he looked good again. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's kind of this guy has kind of an Adrian Yanez feeling on the bantamweight. Also a guy who comes from the Contender Series who looks really good so far in the UFC, and he's at that flyweight. I know Yanez knocks the people out, but you know what I mean. They both have that new guy coming up feeling that those are hot prospects in the division. So yeah, I'm really high on Jeff Molina as well.
Yeah, I like him too. All right, 2 more fights here. Randa Marcos, I mean, she surprised me. I didn't think she'd win, and she pretty much dominated Souza. Lavina Souza now is saying she might retire. And then the first fight of the night, Jonathan Martinez, I did predict this upset, Marcel. It was a late notice fight against Ziad Lajavili. Defeats it by decision, which was definitely the right decision. Any thoughts on those last 2 fights before we move on?
I mean, we got to give credit to Randa Marcos. You know what I mean? We both didn't expect her to win. And she did, finally. After 4 losses in a row, I think, or 5, she finally came through. And very happy for her. She is... she wanted one last chance, and she got it. And she did well against Livia Souza. I'm really curious what the UFC is going to do with Livia Souza, man, to be honest. She might get cut at this moment because... didn't look good at all. First fight, Martinez, perfect first round. Stuffed many takedowns, still gave the fight to Lajavili in the first round. Second and third round, clear Martinez, much better. Looked good. Could stop the takedown for Lajavili, and Lajavili had nothing for her on the feet. So, yeah, good win for Martinez, man.
Yeah. All right. Anything else with UFC, guys? Oh, we got this comment. Gail says Karma's chin is one of the worst in MMA history. Got to be up there. It's not very good. Pickett's physique with difference with Laureano may lead towards him. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he was the bigger guy. Laureano shouldn't be fighting at 185. He's clearly a welterweight, but he's not very good in either division, quite frankly. All right, that's it for this card, Marcel. It's always interesting when we do the card. We spend all week talking about it, then we move on Monday, But we have to start moving on because we got another UFC card, 15 fights tomorrow or on Saturday. We'll talk about tomorrow. Let's go to Bellator quickly, Marcel. I got to be honest, guys. I didn't watch the card except for the main event. Sorry, actually, I watched the top 2 fights, or the top 3, actually. Yeah. So we'll talk about the main event. I liked Fedor in this fight. I liked him here. He was plus 160, which I thought was insane. It was no respect for the guy. He personally handpicked Tim Johnson. He's like, I want to fight this guy. There's a reason he handpicked the fighter, Marcel.
Yeah, of course.
He knew he could knock him out. He looked amazing. Fedor looked incredible. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, man. I mean, I also picked Fedor to win by stoppage, and I gotta be really honest. I almost never pick against Fedor because
me too. That's true too.
So I gotta be honest here. But
actually, Ryan Bader, I did pick against him in that fight. That's the one I did.
I did as well. I think. Yeah.
But the Metreon fight I didn't. I picked Fedor.
I mean, he looked good, man. And this guy is the number 2 ranked Bellator heavyweight. He recently fought for the interim title, and Fedor knocked him out. While his teammate, his protege, had needed a decision against the guy. So it's crazy, actually. Yeah, he looked good. Pretty fast still and with his hands. Nice combinations, and he's really light on his feet, in my opinion, man. For a guy his age, and
crazy. Age 45, that fast, and that's elusive.
Really. And I was, by the way, really happy to see Alex Emelianenko posting congratulations to my brother, because those two are in an argument for a long time.
Well, that guy's a real scumbag.
Yeah, true. But I was happy he gave his brother props. That's always good to see. But I know he is. But,
Alexander's not a good person. Let's be
honest. But yeah, Fedor looked good, man. What can you say? I was really happy. Beautiful in Moscow. With the crowd, you saw Khabib very happy. He was he was ringside, cage side, I should say. So I was really pumped to see that. And when people really try to act like Fedor's nothing special, man, or sometimes on Twitter, it's crazy, man. To me, Also saying this fight was how do you say that? This fight was that it's not real. Staged or something. It's like, what the hell, man? What are you talking about? So, but I'm happy Fedor won, man. I'm a real Fedor fan. I'm not gonna put that anywhere that I'm not, because people know I am.
Yeah, I agree. All right. The co-main event, that's the other fight I did watch. Sage Soma defeats Vitali Minicop. You know what? He was winning the fight before the stoppage, which surprised me. I got to be honest with you. Minicop just didn't look that good. He looked slow in this fight, I guess.
Yeah.
Soma was just kind of outpointing him, and then basically what happened was I think his finger broke or something, and he called. I want to say he called time. I can't. The referee called the timeout, but I mean he had an injury that I guess he could have fought through, but he made it obvious that everyone saw it. Again, if it went to the corner in between the rounds, he could have got the finger put back in, but because it was during the middle of the round, they call it finger injury. But again, I think Soma was winning anyways. He was plus 350 and looked good. Any thoughts quickly?
Yeah, I don't know if I told you this already, but it's crazy to me. Last time I saw an interview from Syed Soma, and he talked Dutch. I was like, wow. But the guy's apparently he's from Suriname, so he can talk Dutch. And I mean, surprising win for me, to be really honest, man. Didn't expect it. Looked really good in the fight, and he was up on the scorecards in my opinion. Against Minicop, and that's big. Because in my opinion, Minicop, that only fight he lost against Congo, was also very controversial in my opinion, which he could have won. And this was really good, well done by Soma. So I was really impressed with that. Yeah, maybe we have a new contender in the heavyweight division. I don't know. We will see, man, in Bellator. I mean, but how good is Minicop still?
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know. It's tough to say. But yeah, he's a younger guy. Just quickly, Usman Nurmagomedov. I mean, fight was a joke. The odds were a joke. I'm looking at the odds, guys. He was minus 7,000. Minus 7,000. I can't think of a bigger odds ever in MMA. Like, this is bigger than Cyborg. It might be the biggest odds ever. It could be. The fight was a joke. Why would they match these guys up? You have a guy who's undefeated against a guy who's lost basically more than he's won, Marcel. This fight was a joke. I'm sorry, but I know they wanted to get the guy win, but you could have given someone at least more competitive. Like, you gave Fedor kind of a tough fight. Tokov had kind of a tough fight too against this Sharaf guy, wins the split decision. Any thoughts on that?
Man, Tokov, I still say it, man. He is probably, if he stays healthy, if he can fight, if he can get more frequently fight and not with the, what do you say that, with the issues with FISA, he can be champion in the division, man. He's really good in my opinion. And Sharaf Dovlatmuradov is a good fighter as well. So I wasn't surprised that it was close. He won a split decision. I mean, I really like Tokov. You know that. I've been really high on Tokov for over 6-7 years, maybe more. Right. He's great, So I hope he can be more consistent with his fights, get more fights, and maybe he gets to a title shot soon. Maybe he gets the winner against Musashi Vandervoort. It would be great if there's nobody else.
No doubt. Let me get these comments, guys. Tristan said, "Would you guys rather see Tokov fight Musashi or Vandervoort?" I think that fight's booked, right? So they're not going to change it. But I think he probably should get the winner, I guess. That'd be fair, right?
It's not officially booked, but it's going to book it. And Vandervoort deserves it, in my opinion. So I don't have any problems with it. Let the winner fight Tokov. That's all good.
CM Hawk thinks Usman's got a padded record. I think it's a little padded too, I'll be honest with you. But he's really good too, right?
CM Hawk, you got to see it like this, man. If you... For example, with Dana, always when you always hear Dana saying in interviews, "Yeah, we actually normally we are not really looking for you because you are 12 and 5. That's not the record we're looking for." And then you see on the record the 5 losses are against solid competition, but he takes the guy who is 13-0 and who fought like 10 guys who are 0-0. You know what I mean? So you pretty much go through those fighters are like, I pat my record because then I got seen by those bigger organizations. So that's pretty much it. And I understand he's in Bellator right now.
That's what I'm saying. He's had like 3 or 4 fights now. Why is he fighting scrubs still? Come on.
Yeah, why is Michael Page fighting this guy till he's 38 before he fights Lima? You know what I mean? Certain guys, they want to build very much, And honestly, man, Usman Nurmagomedov, what I've heard is that he wants to keep working in Bellator, getting his record better and get to the UFC lately. That's what
I get it, but it's just like this guy, he was coming off of a loss. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't even coming off a win. They couldn't have found someone better. The guy's 11-9, Marcel. Minus 7,000, guys. That's a joke. Come on. That fight didn't need to happen. Let's be honest. CM Hawk, people forget Pride was the top organization while UFC wasn't. It's true. Like, newer fans don't realize that. Me and Marcel know that, but
they also, what really pisses me off always, man? When we say that, believe us, and if you don't believe us, go watch it. But don't go with discussion that it's not, that you're saying it's not true, because you don't know about it. Listen, man, if I don't know about something, I'm not going to discuss it. You know what I mean? When I started watching MMA and it wasn't, I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. I'm not going to discuss about something from 10 years ago that I had no knowledge about. But
I agree. All right, let's go to contender series because we'll talk about the contracts rewarded. So. Go through the card here. We'll start with the first fight, the main event. Johnny Parsons defeats Solomon Renfro. So this was a close fight, guys. I mean, it was super, super close. I don't really have a problem with the decision, but I would have definitely signed both guys. I think it was that close. And Dana White just didn't seem interested at all in Solomon. He's like, didn't really do it for me. He's gushing over Parsons. Like, I thought they were both pretty much equal in this fight. I thought they were both good, and they should have both been signed personally. But I did think Renfro won the fight. I think I slightly edged it for him, but I didn't have a problem with Parsons getting it. What do you remember anything about that? What did you think?
Yeah, man. Sometimes Dana's an idiot. We all know that. And Renfro won that fight, in my opinion. Didn't got the win. Okay, Parsons got it. It was a close fight. He signs Parsons. Why the hell you don't sign Renfro? You know what I mean? I don't understand that. And that he signs Parsons, I have no problem with it. I'm happy for the dude. He's syndicate MMA. I like how he fights, so I had no problem with it. But man, Renfro is so talented, and it was a close fight. I think he won. And the thing is, I think he gave Candelario, he gave a contract while he lost, while we also thought he actually won. Why can't you do that now?
Because he didn't think he won. That's the difference. He thought Candelario won that fight. He thought that Parsons won the fight. He said that, I watched the post-fight. He said that he thought he won. So that's why I didn't necessarily agree. And again,
so also Dana shouldn't be a judge.
No, he shouldn't. And if I'm Bellator, I would sign this guy. I would sign him right away. Yeah,
if he wants to come to Bellator or not want to try to get.
That's the thing. Maybe he'll want to stick around and see, like, if he can be like Caio and get a second fight. Now let's go to this next fight. Pierre Rodriguez defeats Velasquez Machado. Really good fight. Very good fight. Both girls should be in the UFC, Marcel. Machado's clearly better than a lot of the women on the roster right now. She would beat Maria Oliveira easily if they fought. The girl that just fought. I think she was good. I think it was a very close fight. I'm fine with the decision, but it was close. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a good decision. It was a close fight indeed, much closer than I would have expected before. Funny thing is, I was looking on Velasquez Machado on Instagram, and I couldn't find her, man. I was like, why can't I find her? And then I saw on Topology her nickname was Tina Black. So I went to Tina Black, and then I could find her. It was pretty funny. It wasn't a bad fight at all, And I think Pierre Rodriguez, she deserved to get signed. No problem with that. LFA champion, I mean, if you're an LFA champion, you got like 90% the chance you got signed by the UFC. If
they love their LFA champs. They do.
And I mean, they are good, so I have no problem with it.
This girl's she's definitely gritty and tough. Again, it was a very close fight. I'm okay with the decision, but you got to look at the scorecards. All three of the judges had different rounds scored for her, but she still won unanimously. That's very rare, to say the least. A couple more fights here we'll talk about quickly. Kyle Burrell defeats Jesse Murray, gets the contract. Look great, obviously, Marcel.
Weight class up.
Pardon?
Up a weight class.
Yeah, it was up a weight class on short notice, too, so he looked good. Gets the deal. Armin Petrosian defeats Calvin Kolev. This fight was amazing, and this guy's striking is fucking incredible. I mean, you talk about a technician on the feet. That's what this guy is. Pinpoint striking with massive power. I cannot wait to watch this guy fight in the UFC.
True.
I am drooling over the prospects of him going to 185 and fighting Alex Pereira. I think that fight would be amazing. I think he should go to 185 though, Marcel. What do you think?
Yes, but he will be in trouble against a good grappler, I feel.
I think so too. He did show like some good get-up ability in this fight, but I think if his opponent had more gas, he could have held him down longer. But it looked decent, Marcel. It looks like it's improving. I will say that.
Sure. And listen, I think this guy fought at lightweight or featherweight before earlier at kickboxing,
That's crazy.
And he's a brother of Giorgio Petrosian, legendary kickboxer. So
I like this guy. I'm glad they signed him. He's going to be a good fighter for the UFC. Finally, Pedro Falcao defeats James Barnes via third round TKO. Terrible fight. Very, very boring fight. And the guy gets the finish, which I thought would give him the contract because he got the finish, but it was a pretty competitive card as far as, giving away deals go. And Dana White just said, he's like, I wasn't impressed with the guy. He didn't impress me. Dana White doesn't like guys that he doesn't mind grapplers, but you got to like finish the fight. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't like guys that delay into the third round. Like that, what was the heavyweight guy? The guy that was from Kuniev. Yeah. Remember the same thing, third round finish. And Dana's like, he didn't impress me. So it's just fucked because it's like you're using good strategy to win the fight, but you're not impressing the boss too. So it's like it's very difficult. That's what makes the show, so
Adam,
unique. Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I kind of agree with Dana on this one. I mean, I wasn't impressed either. So
yeah, it was a boring fight. Honestly, I thought Barnes did a little better than I thought for a guy who's like almost 40 years old. So yeah, I know the guy was upset by it. I think he stormed off right away. That does suck though, being the only guy out of the 5 that doesn't get signed. Like, they're all sitting there in the chairs.
Yeah, that concept kind of annoys me, man. It's like big boss is coming. Let's line them up and let them hope we get a contract next to each other. And if we don't get a contract, we are really pissed off and we're going. It's just so stupid, man. You're not talking about. You're not talking to 5-year-olds. You know what I mean? It's just like it's really. It's not really my cup of tea how they do that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's just me.
I agree. All right, let me get these comments. We got like 10 minutes left here. Kevin says, Kayla is only minus 3,000 versus some random lady. Minus 7,000 is absurd. Well, I would say Taylor's better than some random lady, but you're right. I mean, let's be honest. Like, Kayla's going to win the fight. Marcus, what are your thoughts on – yeah, it's about this. Joanna being removed from the UFC rankings. I like to see UFC go to computer-generated ranking system like college football. That is interesting, Marcus. I think you've mentioned on the podcast before. I still feel like the best way to do it is for Nick Maynard and Sean Shelby to give out their own rankings. I'm tired of the media rankings. I don't agree with them most of the time. Joanna being removed, it was 18 months of inactivity, which I'm fine with. And,
Me too.
That's a pretty fair number, I think, 18 months.
Yeah.
Because guys are out a lot of time with a year off, they get injured or whatever. But 18 months, a year and a half, that point, I'm fine with it. So
I honestly don't understand the fuss about it, to be really honest.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to fight contenders. She only wants to have title fights, and she's not in line next. So she's only blocking other contenders at this moment in the rankings. So if you don't want to fight, take her out of the rankings. If you want to fight again, put her back.
Yeah, I'm with
Somewhere.
you on that. I mean, listen, obviously I like Joanna. She's an amazing fighter.
She
know
is,
that.
for sure.
We all like her. She was a forward champion, very respected fighter. But, Marcel, it's just like, at this point, she doesn't fight. And UFC is just kind of tired of her kind of probably dictating, like, when she fights. And anyways, the rumor is she's going to fight next March. So it'll be a 2-year layoff, which is it's longer than I thought. I mean, that fight was a war, Marcel.
It was.
But, I'm surprised by that. I got to be honest with you. Anyways, talk about we got a couple other comments here. Daniel says Daniel's all over the grid on Contender. Yeah, it's true. It is true. One week he signed an extra guy to spite DC. That's funny. Justin Toffel got rescheduled to next year. Dana White Contender Series. Damn it, did he? That sucks. That I would probably take a fight in the meantime. And that's a long time to wait, So I'm thinking that's a good idea, CM Hawk. I don't know what you think, Marcel. That seems like a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. He was supposed to fight Armin Petrosian on last week's card. So
right. It's got a couple other comments here. And who's Chase Sherman's fighting next? I don't know. I mean, Chase has been pretty, inconsistent, and I think he could get cut after losing to Parker Porter. I mean, they might keep him around because he's a heavyweight, but it was such a bad performance, Marcel. Like, it really was very bad. CM Hawk, what do you think about Sherman versus Lucas? I mean, that's the kind of fight they should do, right? Like, they should do that fight. So I'd like that fight. Although I think Boudet would make sense too. The other heavyweight guy. Who would JJ fight next? Jang. We saw Jang respond to her first fight back. Maybe JJ sparked to wait longer. Maybe. Who should she fight? I mean, I still thought the Marina Rodriguez fight was great, but it's not happening.
Yeah, sure.
That fight made a lot of sense to me. I don't know, Marcel. I mean, I feel like the division is going to be a lot different in 5 or 6 months, guys, when she comes back. You know what I mean? Like, this sport moves really fast. So could be some new contender coming. The UFC might be like, you have to fight one of these newer girls to keep your spot. Like, who knows? But Joanna is a great fighter, so she'll be competitive, I think. CM Hawk, does Ali want Usman to fight Canelo and Izzy because Khamzat's coming up? Usman's getting up to an age. Maybe wants to get his guy paid. That's what it comes down to. Early prediction for Evlov versus Topuria. Man, what a fucking fight! But I mean, I love both guys, but Topuria is really something special. I think I'd probably lean towards him, although I obviously have to think about the fight more. But any thoughts on that? I mean,
not yet, man. Very difficult.
Yeah, it's really early, Tristan. Like, I did the story today. That's why I even thought about it. It's just that, he's been so impressive, Topuria, in my opinion. Like, he's been very impressive. But so is Evlov, quite frankly. The only thing is, I just keep thinking of that stupid fight with Nick Lentz, man, where he, looked really bad and won a split decision over a guy that retired a few months later. That does bother me a little bit, Marcel. I gotta be honest.
Should have been unanimous, but
that's true. I agree with that. But you know what I mean, though? Like, it was more competitive than it should have been.
Yeah,
so.
True. I agree.
Anyways, all right. Any other comments here? Keep Chase. We need heavyweights. I don't know why.
Is that you, Dana? Keep Chase. We need heavyweights. Is that you, Dana?
That's Daniel Edwards is actually Dana White. CM Hawk. I don't know why Ige is getting another rank guy ahead of him because Ali's very good at his job. Clearly, Ali's good. I didn't know. Dan, did he win his last? He lost, right? Or did he bounce back? I can't remember now. I know he fucked Korean Zombie.
He lost.
Yeah. So I'm surprised they ended then. Didn't Emmett win against Burgos? Yeah. Emmett's on a 3-fight win streak. That's kind of a weird. I wouldn't say weird, but because they're both ranked. But
I think
it's a little surprising.
Emmett was supposed to fight Arnold Allen. I think so. On that card.
Oh, that was supposed to be the fight, and he's taking on short notice. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think Ige got the fight because Arnold Allen couldn't make it. So
okay, well that makes sense then. There you go. That's your answer. Because I'm looking at it too. I'm like, what the heck? So yeah. We got the other comments here.
By the way, what the heck? Mike Hack posted that. So shout out to Mike Hack.
That's funny. I wish the UFC went with Rose versus Esparza 2 and Zhang versus Yuan 2. Me too.
Yeah, same.
But they can still do those fights in the future. But I do think they would have made more sense personally. It just made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense. It's like sometimes it makes too much sense. The UFC overthinks it, Marcel. They're like, no, we can't do it. It makes too much sense. We got to make something that doesn't make sense. John says, not a question. I wonder who the next big free agent jump to the UFC will be. Probably AJ McKee, I would have to guess, right, Marcel? Like when you say, because he's talked about it.
I'd say Roberto Soldic.
That's a great fighter too. I mean, they're both really good. So, yeah, I think those guys would make sense. But I would say for me, Adrian McKee, though, again, I don't know how many fights he has left in his deal. I just know that he told Dana White he wants to fight in UFC. Like he's made it very clear that he loves Bellator, but the UFC is what the dream is for most fighters. Let's be honest.
It's so painful, for Bellator to hear a guy who is like probably the next big thing saying like I want to fight in the UFC. That just sucks, for a company like Bellator who wants to compete with the UFC.
By the way, I can't wait for Don Madge to fight on Wednesday. That's awesome, eh?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Why was he cut from the UFC? The guy was awesome.
So issues is what I've heard.
But how come he can fight here now in the States? It doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
CM Hawk, what happened to the Asian guy that destroyed Alex Casares Singapore?
Wang Guan.
That destroyed who?
Wang Guan.
What happened to the guy?
I have no idea. He's still on the roster, but he hasn't fought for like forever.
You see the guy? What is his name?
Wang Guan.
Oh, Wang Guan. Yeah. Didn't he win Ultimate Fighter China?
I think that's somebody else.
No? Okay, let me check here.
That's Wang Bitang, I think.
Okay. Yeah, and there's like not even if you look up the guy, you type his name in, there's just not much that comes up. Yeah, he hasn't fought in 4 years. That's really strange, eh, Marcel? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That guy has a win over Shane Young too. That's so weird. Great question. There's a lot of guys sometimes like I've watched the sport for a long freaking time. Sometimes I'll look back and some of the cards that happened a few years ago, and I'm like, where did that guy go? Like, what happened to this guy? And I wonder sometimes, like, have these guys passed away? I honestly wonder that because no one's heard about them. I'm not saying this guy, but some older guys, Marcel.
Remember Martin Buschkamp?
No. Who's that?
Yeah, he was supposed to fight on the Hamburg card, a German-Brazilian guy, 11 and
0. He passed away?
No, he never fought anymore since 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Why was Madge cut? There's visa issues. They couldn't get him a fight, and they released him. So I don't think it was like a cut that like they didn't want to keep him. It's just that they couldn't get him a fight for some reason. 260-pound walks Dana White's office. Dana White, we need heavyweights. That means if me and Marcel did a tour at the UFC Apex, he probably signed both of us to fight in the newly created super heavyweight division. Marcus Williams, who are your leading picks for 2021 male and female fighters of the year? Great question. I haven't even thought about it yet, to be honest with you. I haven't even thought about it. I mean, right now, Usman has won 2 fights by knockout. So if he wins against Covington, it'd be hard to go against him, I think. And for women, Rose won her belt back. She defends it. I think she'd probably win it, But Amanda's also won a couple of fights this year, too. I would lean towards Rose and Usman, though, I would think. 2 of Trevor Whitman's guys, or girls, I should say. Any thoughts?
Usman if he wins against Colby.
Yeah.
And female could be Shevchenko as well.
Yeah, Shevchenko too. I need the champs. Well, I mean, quite frankly, Kayla Harrison could be, but again, she's fighting just not good competition. Also, yeah, Gon's up there too. I agree. CM Hawk, what happened to the Asian guy with crazy name? I can't remember the guy's name.
I just DM'd you on Twitter.
What's his name? How do you pronounce this guy's name?
Yeah, you pronounce it. I want to hear it. Check your DM on Twitter.
Kara Mulili, my Atitu Hati, I think. It's a really hard one to pronounce. Very tough. Remember we talked about this, and I was like, I want you to pronounce it first. Anyways, don't know what happened to the guy, but hopefully he gets on next season because a lot of the Asian fighters are fighting tomorrow night. We'll talk about that card tomorrow.
And also next week.
The last 2 weeks. That's it. 10 weeks. All right, Marcel, let's get out of here. Plug your stuff. Let's go.
Big Marcel24 on Twitter and Instagram, MMADNA.nl, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. That's it.
There you go. You guys can follow me on Twitter at MMAOB Martin Podcast, MMAOddsmaker.com. It's on our YouTube channel. We're on Spotify, iTunes, all those places. You can find me at bjpenn.com, myMMAnews.com, bookies.com, League Fantasy, League Sports Betting, and the All-Star as well. So a lot of places I'm around. Just hit me up on Twitter anytime you want to. I love talking about the sport. Tristan, last comment here, man. Adam did hear UFC 271 might be in Canada or Seattle. That's close to me in Vancouver. That'd be sick. This is according to Aaron Bronson, who talked to Dana White. He said it's either going to be in Seattle or in Canada. Apparently, the Raptors are playing that night, so I don't think it's going to be Toronto. So it looks like it's going to be Vancouver or Seattle. But I think it's going to be Seattle, honestly. They have a new arena. It makes sense. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern.